Today we're taking a closer look at and showing you how to install the H-Style running boards in black, available for your 2010 and newer Ram 2500 crew cab. Now the H-Style boards that we have on the table with us here today would be an excellent choice for HD owners out there looking for all of the footing provided by a more traditional running board, but would prefer to get it in a low-key, discreet package that is also relatively affordable, coming in at or around that mid to high $300 price point. Moving into our features block here, first and foremost, guys, I have to say I'm a big fan of these H-Style boards because when installed, they look like they could have easily been a factory installed part. In fact, I will say outside of the OE boards for your crew cab, these are probably as close as you're gonna get to the factory stuff when talking about appearance, minus those tapered ends, of course. Now I say that because so often in the category, things can look very modified or aftermarket, and that can sometimes turn a lot of truck owners off. Now these, again, on the other hand, do not adhere to that. Again, deliver a very low profile appearance, all for a very low price point. Now you're also looking at that 6-inch width in footing here. That is gonna give you all of the footing of a more traditional running board, of course. Definitely something that shouldn't go overlooked. Certainly a better bet if you are looking to maximize your traction, essentially from tip to tip here, as opposed to like a Nerf bar or something that only gives you kind of predefined spots for steps. Now that footing, again, does span essentially the length of the cab here, minus those tapered ends, which I think really does a great job of cleaning up the look a little bit as those ends kind of dive back into your cab, really making for a very clean overall look. Now getting into construction, and the H-Style boards again will feature a lightweight but very durable 6061 aluminum build that again is giving you that 6 inches of width in its widest part here, finally finished off in a textured black powder coat. Now the boards do feature that raised non-slip surface here again throughout the entire length of the board, and they are backed by a limited warranty in case you run into any issues. Now, as an added bonus here, guys, something a lot of truck owners don't think about, but when you go with a wider board such as this, it's also gonna act as sort of a barrier, if you will, to protect your Ram against door dings in the parking lot. Because most of the time, those doors that get swung open wildly will smack the running board first before it dings your door on your HD. So a nice little feature, byproduct, whatever you want to call it, of a running board such as this. And again, that is thanks to the wide surface area here of the H-Style boards. Now coming in at or around that mid to high $300 price point, again, these H-Style boards will be priced pretty reasonably amongst other running boards in the category here. Of course, you can find stuff a little bit more expensive if you go with more of a name brand option, but for the most part, hovering in this $300 range here is going to be the sweet spot for a lot of your running boards here at AT. All right, last but not least, let's talk install. And site's going to go 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, taking you an hour to complete at most from start to finish using the included brackets and hardware. Now, I will say the nice thing about these particular steps being made from that 6061 aluminum, they're a little bit lighter than lifting maybe a big burly steel option into place. So that certainly will make your life a little bit easier when it comes time for the install. So speaking of which, what do you say we throw things out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown?
For this install, you will need various ratchets, 10 and 13 millimeter sockets, and 10 and 13 millimeter wrenches. What's up, folks? Today we're going to be installing some running boards on our Ram, so let's get started. All right, so our first step is going to be to get underneath the truck, and we're going to come right to essentially the inside of our rocker panels, and we're going to find our mounting locations. So we first need to install some hardware and then our main bracket. So we'll get under there and get this going. All right, so now we're underneath the truck on the inside of our rocker panels, and we're going to find 3 of these locations with a larger oval circle and 2 hex openings below it. Now you may have some tape over this covering it from the factory. If you do, just remove that and discard it. And we're gonna grab our bolt and nut plate, and we're gonna grab one of our 13 millimeter bolts, and we're gonna loosely thread that into the nut side, just like so. And that's gonna act as a handle. And what we wanna do is send this through the oval opening. We'll get this down into position. Sometimes easier said than done. Once you get it down in, You'll line that up with the hex hole. Now, we're going to be using both of these holes, so whichever way you want, doesn't matter. We're going to hold that bolt. Then we're going to grab one of our provided plastic washers. That's going to go over our stud. Now this is meant to just hold this in place so it doesn't fall back into your truck. So we'll thread this on. Sometimes you can push them, sometimes you have to thread them. Work this in place. Sometimes they're a little stubborn, you kind of have to force them. Once you have that in position, we can go ahead and remove that bolt. And our plate's going to fall down. Now it is going to sink below this other opening, but we can use this stud to line it up once we put our main brackets on. And once you have this step done, you can go ahead and do the same thing for the other two brackets on this side. All right, so now that we have our stud and nut plate in, we can begin installing our main brackets. Now these are going to be labeled for their positioning on the vehicle. As you can see, they're each going to have a label. This can either be the driver front mount or the passenger center mount. So we're on the passenger side at the center mount, so we're going to add that one in. Now, although these are specific to each mounting point, the process for installing them is going to be the exact same, so you can follow this based on your specific mount. So what we're going to do is slide that over our stud, like so. Then we're going to have to grab that stud. Now this can be a little bit tricky to hold the bracket and get the stud in place. Then we're going to pivot this up to where we can see our nut side of our plate and that other hex opening. And we're going to grab our provided 13 mil bolt, lock washer, and flat washer. We'll get that in place on our nut. Now again, this can be a little bit tricky, so you want to exercise some patience. Get this started. We'll get this bolt threaded in hand tight, just like so. And then for our stud, we're going to add on a flat washer, a lock washer, and our 13 millimeter nut. Get that threaded on hand tight as well. And once we have that on, we can grab our support bracket. Now this support bracket is going to face from the back of your pinch weld with the L to the mounting point of our main bracket facing towards it, like so. Now you should already have from the factory 2 holes drilled into your pinch weld to mount these. And the way they're going to go on, again, is on the back side of our pinch weld. We're going to grab our provided 10 millimeter bolts and flat washers. It's going to be 2 for the pinch weld. We'll get one in first and hold that in place. And on the back side, we'll add in another flat washer and a provided 10 millimeter lock nut. Get that one threaded on. We'll get our other 10 millimeter bolt and flat washer through. And we can add in, again, a flat washer and our lock nut. Once we have both of those on, to mount the support bracket to the main bracket, we're going to grab a 13 millimeter bolt and flat washer. We'll get that through our support bracket and our main bracket. And on the back side of that, we'll add a flat washer and a 13 millimeter lock nut. Now we're going to leave all of these loose for now because we want to have room for any adjustments we need to make to our boards or our bracketry to get everything in place. So once you have this bracket completely assembled, you can do the same thing for your other 2 brackets. All right, so now that we have all of our bracketry on, we've got our boards and we can get ready to install those. Now, these are going to mount to our brackets with these supplied U-brackets that have these square holes to accept our elevator bolts. So what we're going to do is have the U side facing up in our hand. We're going to drop the elevator bolts through, like so. And you'll notice they have these 2 tapered edges. So we'll grab them by the bolts, turn them sideways into the channel of our board, and rotate them in 90 degrees, like so. And then it's going to be 1 of these U-brackets for each of our main brackets. Once again, 2 elevator bolts. Turn that around, slide these in. And for now, you can set these in the general area of the front, middle, and rear bracket. Now, the way our board is facing, the tapered edge is going to be the outside, and then the raised edge is going to be the inside. So we'll flip this over and it'll be sitting correctly. So we'll get our last bracket in. Now we're ready to flip this over and get it onto our main brackets. Now we've got our board turned over and we're going to set it onto our brackets. So now we're back underneath the vehicle and we need to get our mounting bracket lined up with our main bracket. So what you're going to do is reach in for that. You can lift up slightly on your board, wiggle this into position, and get both of those bolts to drop through in position. Then you want to do the same thing for your other two brackets. Once you have those in, you're going to add in a flat washer and a lock nut for each of our bolts. Now you may have to reach up into the channel of your board to hold these bolts in place at first. Make sure it's sitting on your platform of your bracket, and a lock nut. Get those started. Then you can loosely install these on your other two beams. Now once you have your hardware loosely in place, you want to come out and make any adjustments you want to make to your boards to get them sitting to your liking. And then we'll come in with our 13mm socket on our ratchet and begin by tightening down our two lock nuts on our main bracket. Once again, you may have to reach back and hold those bolts down to keep them from pushing out. Once you have those two tight, you then want to come in to your main bracket and tighten down that nut and bolt to your chassis, also with your 13mm socket. And once we have those tightened down, we can come over to our main bolt for our support bracket. And we've got a 13mm wrench along with our 13mm socket, and tighten that down. That's going to keep that squared up. So for our two pinch weld bolts, you'll need a 10mm wrench and a 10mm 1/4" socket with a shallow socket on it to tighten down these. There's not much room behind them. There's a little bit of an awkward position. Tighten down our other one as well. Then once you have this one fully tightened down, you can do the same thing for your other two brackets. Now once you have this side fully installed, you can repeat the same process for the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our H-Style running boards in black finish for your 10 to current Ram 2500 crew cab. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.